how to survive and thrive after a divorce, even if you're exiting a toxic relationship. Number one, allow yourself to grieve. The emotions want and need to come out. If you suppress those feelings, they tend to bottle up, and then you may erupt at an inopportune time, such as at work or in front of your kids. There are stages to grief, and those are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So 5 stages. Here's the key though. Grief isn't linear and no one grieves the same. So you may go through all 5 stages and then back 2, or you may go through the first 2 and then back to the beginning again, or you may just jump around altogether. Don't compare your grieving to anyone else's. Grieving is a very personal thing. And that brings me to point number 2. You've got to give yourself grace. What you've been through is one of the hardest things that anyone can go through in life. It's actually number 2 on the scale of life stressors, right after the death of a spouse or the death of a child. Also, know that you're not a failure. Another reason to give yourself grace. The divorce rate in the United States fell 11% last year. But here's the catch. Fewer and fewer couples got married. So really, we're still where we were over the last decade. Around 50 to 60% of marriages fall apart. Remember, marriages can have expiration dates. In some countries, people are married for 5, 7, 10 years, and then it's expected that the relationship changes. Learn what you can from the divorce and move on. Maybe you began to grow and your partner didn't, or vice versa. This is definitely a process of growth. So forgive yourself and keep going one foot in front of the other. Number 3, you need to heal. Healing is the most critical step to build this awesome foundation for the rest of your life. The person who hurt you is not coming back to fix you. That was so hard for me to understand. You've got to take responsibility for your healing. I've got to take responsibility for my healing. There are a lot of ways to heal, and again, no way is the right way. Just like with the grieving process, you can go through therapy, you can have a life coach or a recovery coach. Maybe you go to a divorce group at your church, or perhaps you find a support group of some kind that really feeds your soul. It's all what you need so you can keep moving on and come out on the other side of this the best version of yourself that anyone's ever seen. Number 4, don't isolate. You know, it's so easy to sit on the sofa and eat Ben and Jerry's or pizza or whatever, you know, your sinful food is. Yeah, I know, I like salty things. But don't do that. It's okay in the beginning and maybe part of your grieving process, but then you've got to get back out there and meet some friends to spend time with. You've got to have a connection, because many times at the end of a marriage, especially a toxic one, we find ourselves isolated. Perhaps your partner isolated you and kept you from friends and family. It's time to reconnect with them. There's a catch though. You don't want to overdo it, because you do have to find time to do number 1, and that's grieve. And you'd be surprised who will come out of the woodwork that really supports you as you go through this process. And people you thought would support you might disappear. Number 4, don't isolate. It's so easy to sit at home on your sofa and eat Ben and Jerry's or pizza and cry. Believe me, I've done it. But you've got to eventually get out there and get back to living. And you can find support from other people that you're not going to get at home alone, or even through your kids. We don't want to drag them into it. So don't isolate, especially if you've been in a toxic relationship, because narcissists and other toxic people like to isolate their partner before the divorce and cut off those connections with important people in your life, like friends and family. So get back out there and make those connections again. You'll be surprised who supports you, and you'll also be saddened at who doesn't. but it's nothing that you've done to cause that. Sometimes when we move on and start building our best lives, other people are forced to look in the mirror, and they don't like that very much. So don't isolate. It's good also, just on the flip side, don't overdo it, because you still got to find time to grieve, as I mentioned with number one. And if you're out being the social butterfly all the time, you're going to suppress your feelings and emotions and not get through the process as quickly. Number 5, speaking of getting out there, wait to date. Some therapists say, wait a year, wait 2 years, wait so many months for every year you were married. It just depends on where you are. Some people have grieved the end of the relationship 5 years before the divorce was final. It just depends where you are in that process. But be true to yourself. If you are still crying, still calling your best friend at 3 a.m. and trying to figure out why the divorce happened, you're probably not ready to go out and date. And that's okay, because you want to go out with the best version of yourself, because that's what this unfortunate process, but also fortunate process, can do for all of us. Regardless, when you go out to start dating, be careful not to jump into a relationship. Many times we want to trade the partner that we've divorced or gotten rid of with someone else and just fill that void. I literally thought about doing that when I was divorced, but it doesn't work so well, because other people are going to come in and out of your life, and many will have a lot of baggage, and you think, wow, I thought I had a lot of baggage. But you don't want to trade one partner with whom it didn't work for another with whom it won't work. So just baby steps, give yourself time, be friends first. It's always the way to go. You know, I think the most important thing, and I'm going to add a number 6 just off the top of my head, you deserve the best. And if you do these steps and take these steps, you're going to find the very best in yourself. And when you do that, you will draw in that healthy partner. You will find unconditional love. That is my hope for you.